Chiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition on PlayStation 4. Now, quite some time ago, in 2001, a game called Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and helped further define what was on the map for console open-world games. In those next few years, back in PlayStation 2 and Xbox generation, there were several franchises that arose that attempted to be what some would call GTA clones. One series in particular that focused on presenting its games from the perspective of law enforcement was called True Crime. True Crime Streets of LA was released in 2003, and then a sequel, True Crime New York, in 2005. Now back in 2008, I remember seeing several previews and articles for a third game in the series called True Crime Hong Kong, but suddenly in 2011, it vanished off the map. The following year, we learned that Square Enix had obtained the publishing rights, dropped the title of True Crime, and thus Sleeping Dogs was born in 2012. Sleeping Dogs, once again, follows an undercover cop, this time named Wei Shin, who returns to Hong Kong after years spent in San Francisco. Law enforcement uses him to infiltrate the ranks of the Sun On Yee organization of triads to help stop some of the violent crime and other illegal activity by the most powerful gang in Hong Kong. A lot of the people Shin is using to help get arrests for the police are guys that he knew from his childhood, presenting some inner struggle as he brings the gang down. Hong Kong is divided into 4 regions that, honestly, were pretty indistinguishable from one another. One area does look a little ritzier and another more urban, but still, after playing this game, I feel like this is how Hong Kong could very well look. In fact, developer United Front Games reportedly traveled to Hong Kong to research the city and its life and sounds. And I'll be honest, this game made me want to go back to Asia. The restaurants with the ducks hanging in the windows, the neon signs, the night markets, merchants trying to push cheap crap or tasty, questionable foods. While I haven't been to Hong Kong itself, United Front nailed the immersive environment. You can walk, drive, or swim pretty much anywhere, anytime, and you can also take taxi cabs to fast travel to locations on the map. Now, most of the GTA clones have all focused on guns and driving. This is one place where Sleeping Dogs does stand out because, of course, everyone in Hong Kong knows martial arts. The game features a series of moves based on attacking, counterattacking, and grappling. There are 3 separate skill trees. I actually use the word kind of loosely here, as really there's 2 branches, and by the time you complete the game, you have everything. But one tree is for triad missions, where you gain experience by completing the story missions well. Police experience comes from cop missions and from obeying the law while on those story missions. The 3rd skill tree is completed by finding Wei Shin Sensei's missing jade statues stolen and spread across the city.
Thank you.
There's also face experience, which comes from doing errands for people in town and from winning races. Face levels effects are twofold. The first is while in combat, a meter fills up while you're doing well. When that meter is full, the various face levels add bonus effects, like increased melee damage or regenerating health. Second is face experience determines what kind of clothes you can wear and what kind of cars you can buy. Like, you're not cool enough to be seen driving this car in these particular clothes. Sleeping Dogs is one of the most mission-filled games of this type I've played. Feels like a lot of these games have you searching for things for hours or doing uninteresting, endless amounts of errands while lacking true content. In Sleeping Dogs, there are cop missions, races, case files, random errands where a fellow triad will just shoot up a place and have you drive the escape car, and even a few dates. Yes, complete with karaoke. It is pretty huge over there. You can also gamble, bet on cockfights, or take on foes in various arenas. For the game's various collectibles, while at first you must keep a keen eye out for the glowing pulsing objects like health shrines and lockboxes, Shin eventually meets some dateable women, where, after impressing them on a date, locations of these things are revealed on the map. The blonde American girl was researching the health shrines, so she tells Shin where they all are. The tech girl lets him know where all the spy cameras are around the city. The Russian girl reveals all of the hidden lockboxes. That's the only one that didn't really make sense to me. I mean, is it some kind of racism? She wasn't a criminal, she was a hostess at a karaoke club. Whatever. Sleeping Dogs features several vehicles, most in the car and motorcycle variety. All of them handle pretty differently, with an exaggeration on the bottom end of the cars that, man, if they function like this, they would be sent to a scrap pile, not mass-produced. As Shin gains more wealth and face, you can buy vehicles from chop shops, and then they are always there for you to select from the valet at the parking garage. Probably an attempt to get away from making you steal every time you need a vehicle, since you are, a cop. By the end of the game, I was still driving on the right side of the road, however, at times, which is the wrong side, and trying to get in cars from the left side, and of course Shin has to slide over to the driver's side on the right seat. It's a tough habit to break. So while overall the game's 25 to 30 hours of content are fairly solid, this game is pretty buggy. In the couple of years I've been playing PlayStation 4, I've maybe had 2 complete game crashes where it closed the app and took me to the dashboard. With Sleeping Dogs, it happened 4 times in 25 hours. The car's minimap GPS can be extremely frustrating at times as it leads you on wild goose chases or the long way around, taking you around like a square mile of city instead of just having you turn on other roads. My favorite glitch of this game, however, is the knife throwing. So targeting an enemy only works when they're about 6 feet from you, which is also really annoying, but when you throw a knife at an enemy, it's an instant kill, unless they're charging at you, or getting ready to attack you, then the knife goes flying off their arm. But if you target an enemy and face the opposite direction to evade their attack, and then try to throw the knife, you can one-shot kill yourself. It's amazing. This was discovered in the game's most frustrating mission, where you have to kill 30 guys that fight you 6 at a time, all while they're wielding poison blades that drain your health faster with each blow you take. So I also had some issues with some missions just feeling like they ended before they were supposed to. For example, police missions where you have to arrest the suspect by weakening them, grappling them, and then slapping on handcuffs. Sometimes I'd punch a little too long and the suspect would die. Sometimes they'd be left standing up on top of their car and I just hadn't gotten to them yet. And then the mission would end in success. Also had some weird clipping issues. Got in a couple situations where I'd have trouble getting into a car. The enemy pop-in was atrocious on several occasions as well. AI, both in civilians and enemies, can get downright stupid. More so even than you usually see. In a wonderful world of double standards, for example, Shin gets mad at one of the girls he's dating because he finds out she's cheating on him. So of course he stalks her, plants bugs, and then of course finds out that she was cheating on him. She dumps him, the mission's over, but she doesn't disappear. She walks away. Now, let me give this disclaimer first that violence to women is really bad. I do not endorse, nor would I ever do something like this in real life. And I wouldn't have even brought this up had the following hijinks not ensued. But, as she was walking away, I punched her a couple of times just to see what would happen. Well, these medics came rushing in and they started walking on her body. I don't know if they knew what to do or what. Civilians started driving over basketball courts and into walls. Somehow it just unleashed general chaos. So, I did have Shin calling 2 or 3 girls at the time, and they went on like 1 date each. So, just so you know, I, as the player, felt petty and remorseful while I was laughing. But that does bring me to my next point, where there are a few moments like this in the story that just seem very out of character for Shin. Another example is when his fellow triads think he might be an undercover cop, and they tell him they want to see him kill someone, which, yeah, that's a great story point. So, he kills somebody, and they believe that he's not. Then you go into later missions, and you just start leveling waves of enemies. I mean, I understand the disabling of foes by breaking limbs and whatnot, but if a couple of punches killed poor Tiffany, can the men really take this much damage without quote-unquote dying? Not to mention when you start using firearms. I mean, Wei Shin seems like a really nice guy, and I won't undersell the stress I imagine would be on an undercover cop in this situation, but he just ends up playing it all too cool, to just an unbelievable degree, when they really could have gotten some kind of human story. Overall, even with that nice list of issues, I would put this game slightly above average. If you're looking for an open world playground with a decent amount to do, at its $20 price point, you could do worse. Especially because this definitive edition includes the Nightmare in North Point and Year of the Snake DLC packs. Nightmare in North Point has you fighting Chinese demons as you chase down an angry ghost of a funeralless triad. And the Year of the Snake has Shin disarming a cult that predicts that Chinese New Year will be the end of the world, and try to help that prediction by destroying Hong Kong. The changes to the city in each of these packs adds a nice unique flavor, and both packs offer hours of additional content. The only minor inconvenience to these games is they don't let you continue your main story into them, so all upgrades and cars you purchase don't transfer over. They're more standalone packs. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition ended up sitting at a 58 out of 100 on my adventure open world scale. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching.